I am a 25-year-old poker pro based out of Southern California, and the next step in my life is to buy a house. To do that, I need to save up $200,000 for a down payment, and I'm gonna earn it by only playing poker. After the last episode, I booked my biggest win of the series yet, $18,100. That brings me to $20,200 total towards the goal, which means I still have $179,800 left to go. If you wanna follow this journey all the way till I get my house keys, make sure you subscribe. Every session will get me closer. Now let's see how this week goes.
I said, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we are on the way to LA right now. We're gonna be playing 25-50 with a $50 big blind ante at Bally Poker Live at the Commerce in Los Angeles. To be honest, I was doing a little bit of brainstorming about, okay, what's the best way to get to the $200,000 mark? The best way to do that is to play bigger games. The problem with playing 5, 10, or 2-5 games for this challenge is there's just really no way that I'm gonna get to the $200,000 mark at any reasonable amount of time. So I kind of have to play these bigger games in order to do that. Obviously, these games are a little bit scarier because my bankroll isn't necessarily the best to just be firing off 25-50 all the fucking time. But at the same time, it's also going to give me the best chance at completing this challenge in a decent amount of episodes. So this is episode number 3. We had a small win in episode number 1 of like 2,000 or so. We had a good win in episode number 2, which was $18,000 or so. But both of those games weren't the biggest in terms of size and the blinds. So today, we actually have a legitimate opportunity to win probably like 30 or 40K if we run well and play well. For those of you guys that don't know, I do play a lot of poker, so not every episode of the down payment series is just what I'm playing, right? I play several times a week, and I'm only usually recording 1 episode for the challenge a week where I have a chance to knock a decent chunk of change every single time for this challenge. We'll have to see how things go, man. I'm excited. Let's win 30K today. Big games equals big profit, and big profit equals get the challenge done faster. Alright, so we just got to the Commerce. I'm charging my car right now. But anyways, it's a new day. Yesterday we got absolutely cooked for, I don't even know how much money. 20 racks yesterday down the drain. Got a long ways to go. Alright, so we've just made it to the Commerce. On the menu today, we've got 25-50 with a $50 big blind ante. This game always pretty much plays with a $100 straddle, so it's gonna play pretty big. And just wanted to hop on here and let you guys know, I think for the remainder of this challenge, I'm gonna be trying to play as many high stakes poker games as possible. Expect some high stakes action. Let's get a little bit closer to $200,000 today. Let's have a killer session in the 25-50 streets in LA. Let's go. All right, so we have made it to the stream room. I'm gonna be buying in a little deeper than I normally do. Usually I come on here buying for 10,000, but I think the tides are shifting, man. I feel a deep buy-in today. I'm buying in for $15,000 US to start. Let's see if we can spin it up, get closer to that down payment. Given that we're playing a big game today, we're gonna be buying in for $15,000. I think there's a chance we can make a pretty significant dent in this challenge. So we're gonna get involved here right away in a pretty spicy way. Dylan opens under the gun to 125. We see Phil Locke and Rich Asian Bro both make the call, and that's when we peel 6-7 of hearts on the button and decide to 3-bet, get aggressive, and bump it up to 650. Action gets back over to Dylan, and now he decides to 4-bet to $1,625. Everybody makes a quick fold, and it gets back over to me, and I am not gonna be folding this time. I make the call, and we are gonna go heads up to a 4-bet pot right away. The flop comes King, Queen, 7 with 2 diamonds and a club, and Dylan does continue here for $925. I expect him to bet this board with virtually his entire range, and with bottom pair, obviously it's not thrilling, but I do need to see a turn, so I do make the call and we head to the next card. The turn is a total brick. It is the 4 of spades, and now Dylan fires again for roughly half pot this time, 27.50 to be exact. And against this bet, I just don't really think I can continue here, so I do end up letting this one go. I was contemplating getting sticky, but luckily came to my senses and found the fold, which we were very happy about because we were drawing stone dead against pocket queens. We get involved here with Dylan again in the next hand of note. He opens under the gun to 125, and we decide to just call on the button with king queen suited. Gambling for my girlfriend also calls from the big blind, so we're gonna go 3 ways to a flop. The flop is really sexy for us. It comes jack 9-7 with 2 diamonds. It checks over to us on the button, and we can make a small bet for 150 into the middle, and only Dylan makes the call. The turn gets us there immediately. It comes the 10 of spades, giving us the nut straight. Dylan checks it over to us again, and now I decide to fire on the smaller side for 450, which is roughly 66% of the pot. Dylan goes into the tank for quite some time and decides to whip out the check raise to 2200. We're obviously in a dream scenario now. The question is, do we want to just call to keep his bluffs in, or do we want to just jam now? Honestly, this is a super tough board for him to find bluffs on because I just have straights here a lot. But given I know he is quite a strong player, I decide to just call, and on the off chance he is bluffing, keep those bluffs in range. The river is a complete brick. It is the 4 of clubs, and now we are just praying Dylan puts the money in for us. He goes into the tank, but eventually does decide to just rip it in for pretty much 175% of the pot. We snap call and get shown a bluff with king 9 of spades. This is obviously quite spicy from Dylan. I've got a lot of respect for him going for it here, and it's gonna work a lot of the times, but this time we just do have it. The game is starting to pick up now, and at this point the stand-up game is on, and so is the $100 straddle. Justin limps in from under the gun to 150. It's technically a raise, but it's only so the straddle has the option when it gets back over to him. Rich Asian Bro opens in the cutoff to 600, and now I peel pocket jacks on the button and 3-bet to 2,000. Action gets back over to Justin, who decides to limp shove for $5,000 total. Rich Asian Bro folds quickly, and I make a quick call, and we are off to the races. The flop comes a pretty miserable ace-king 5, and Justin lets us know right away that he does in fact have an ace, so things are looking quite grim. The turn and river both brick off for us, and Justin is going to not only scoop up this nearly $11,000 pot, but he is also free of the stand-up game tax, which I now also have to pay because we were the last 2 players remaining. Strap in for one of the sickest hands you are gonna see all year long. The $100 straddle is on, and Rich Asian Bro opens up the action to 250 from the hijack. We 3-bet with pocket jacks in the cutoff to 800, and action gets over to Dylan in the big blind. He decides to put in a raise to $2,100. This is a cold 4-bet, ladies and gentlemen, a pretty strong play from Dylan here. Rich Asian Bro quickly folds, and when action gets back over to us, we are going to be continuing here with a call. Obviously, against your standard 1-3 OMCs, you can probably just fold jacks, but this isn't a game where I'm really ever considering folding here. Players on this show are just aggressive and solid, and are gonna show up with enough 4-bet bluffs to make this a super standard call. We are absolutely drooling when we see a flop of ace-jack-5 rainbow, and Dylan continues to fire out for 450, which is roughly 10% of the pot. We are gonna call here and set the trap, and hopefully he does continue to fire off. The turn brings the 5 of diamonds, giving us a full house, and Dylan continues to blast at us here. He bets for 1875, and again, we are just gonna be calling. There is no real reason to raise here in position. The river is a total brick. It is the 8 of hearts, changing absolutely nothing, and now Dylan goes into the tank. I'm just praying at this point he says the 2 magic words, and to our delight, he does announce all in. I put my chips in right away, and what the actual fuck, bro. He shows us pocket aces for a better full house, and I am left sucking my thumbs. What a nasty fucking cooler. Honestly, this is just one of the nastier beats I've taken in my life. In times like this, we just gotta understand that we play a sick game, and we just have to be okay with this happening every now and then. Let's keep things going and hopefully we are able to continue to play well and not tilt off our next buy-in. We get active right away again, and this time the stand-up game and straddle are both on. We see Dylan open to 400 from early position and Rich Asian Bro makes the call on the button. With 9-8 of diamonds, I decide to call from the small blind, and that brings in Seinfeld and gambling for my girlfriend as well. We got a family style 5-way pot and the flop comes Jack 7-7 rainbow with 1 diamond. The action checks all the way to Rich Asian Bro and he decides to stab for 800. This is not recommended, but I'm steaming and feeling a bit spicy. Literally any player could just easily have a 7 here, especially the players from the blinds, but that isn't gonna stop me from putting in a raise. I decide to check raise to 2,400. And I think this looks insanely strong, given that I've check raised when essentially every player involved could just easily have a super nutted hand on this board. So I kind of imagine I'm going to get a ton of credit with this raise. And credit is exactly what I get from everyone except for Rich Asian Bro. He decides to come along and see a turn, and the turn is the 3 of spades. And yeah, at this point we should very likely just be giving up. But as I mentioned before, I am steaming a bit, and I also think Rich Asian Bro is also steaming and floating a little bit wide, given that he bluffed off his stack in a nearly $40,000 pot the last hand. I fire again for 2,400, and to our delight, Rich Asian Bro does end up folding. This is obviously great news for us because I saved myself the despair of having to unload the clip on the river, which was kind of the plan all along here. The stream is over and we did end up losing just shy of $15,000, but the action does not stop here. The guys do agree to play post-stream and continue this poker match, and boy, do we play some of the biggest and craziest pots of our life. So a few hours go by and we play some small and medium pots, but nothing really worth mentioning. We've clawed our way back to around 25K at this point, and this is where we play one of the craziest hands of my poker career. Dylan opens in the cutoff to 250 and Justin quickly 3-bets to $1,000 on the button. I look down at ace queen offsuit in the $100 straddle and decide to place a cold 4-bet to 3,700. Dylan folds and Justin makes a quick call. The flop comes Jack 7-7 rainbow and I decide to c-bet for 3,700 and Justin makes the call. The turn comes an offsuit 4. I can literally feel my balls tingling as I fire again for 4,500. Please fold Justin, but no, he makes the call again. The river is the 6 of clubs. I know what I have to do. There's no other option for me. I've made it this far and I can't let the story end here. I count out my chips, it's $13,000. I can get him to fold 10s, 9s, maybe even a jack. That's what's going through my head right now. I feel numb. If I give up here, I'll be down 37K. If I go all in and get called, I'll be down 50K. Fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. I ship it all in for 13K and Justin immediately stands up in agony. He starts talking out loud. He says he has queens. That's not good for me. At least I don't think it is. But the more he talks, the more it seems like he wants to fold. I'm not saying shit. I'm doing my best to stare at the board and give off 0 reads. Justin asks me to show my hand. He says, please windmill a bluff, bro. And I oblige with this request. I don't usually like to show my bluffs, but this one felt too good not to. We scoop up this gigantic pot and are inching our way back. We play for a little while longer and continue to win small pots and build up our stack a little bit. We end up cashing out for 40,975 after being into the game for 50K. We take those honestly. After a session like that, walking away down just over 9K feels like a huge win. All right, guys, we just wrapped up at the Commerce, 25.50. We were playing with the $100 straddle. Absolutely crazy game. I ran super terrible. The overall statistics for the game, I was in for 50,000 and out for 40,975. So I ended up losing $9,025. So for the challenge now, I actually still need to make $188,825. You know, at one point, I thought today was gonna be a good day, you know, and we were gonna get to cut off some more into profit and maybe make that number 150, but we went in the wrong direction. So we got a long ways to go. Let's see what happens, baby. Let's go. Back in the whip. Disappointing fucking session today. I mean, I ran really bad, obviously, as you guys probably can tell by this video. So to only lose $9,025 in this game. I feel like it's a win. I was able to claw back and honestly made one of the crazier bluffs in my life. Post stream for, I don't know, the pot was like 24K on the river, and then I shoved for 13 as a bluff. Got it through, got queens to fold on a jack high board. 4-bet pot, I had ace queen offsuit. 4-bet, bet the flop, bet the turn, jam the river. Nice to get that one through. You know, if I had not gotten it through, I would have been down 50,000. So my biggest loss ever. I mean, we're moving in the wrong direction. We've got some cash to make over the next episodes. You know, shit happens in poker. We're down 9,000. Gonna keep it always transparent with you boys on this vlog. Not an ideal situation, obviously, for the challenge, but making do with what we can. Yeah, that jacks versus aces hand was absolutely brutal, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon when I get back to the crib, probably.